So this new bipartisan infrastructure bill, people want to know what's in it. The House just passed it. It was in the Senate. They passed it earlier, a couple months ago. It went over to the House. They finally got a vote on it. Now it looks like it's going to President Biden's desk. He signed it into law. One of the big things is going to be this big giant spending bill. They're going to print more money. They're going to borrow more money. It's just going to be coming out. The government's just going crazy with all this spending. They're just out of control to me. So it says the bipartisan infrastructure bill passed the Senate in a 69-30 vote on August 10th with Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell among the 19 Republicans who joined with the chamber's 50 Democrats to support the long-awaited measure. See, everybody thinks, well, maybe Republicans, if they got back into office, they would clear these things up and then things would be better. But Republicans still spend just as much as the Democrats. It's just that Republicans like to spend their money on other programs. It's going to get to the point where they're going to run out of other people's money, is what it is. And the Republicans are going to be on board with their own programs when they get back into power, which looks like it'll happen in 2020. But these bills are going to continue to come out there. They're going to continue to spend, borrow. It's a spending problem the government has right now. And if they can't get it under control, it's going to escalate. It's going to affect everybody because the dollar is going to go collapse, and people are going to be, what am I going to use to interact with people? What am I going to use to exchange value? What am I going to use to hold value? But this bill hasn't become law. It needs to clear the House of Representatives and get signed by President Biden, who announced the bipartisan deal on infrastructure. The House on Friday initially appeared on track to pass the infrastructure package, as well as take at least a procedural vote on Biden's $1.75 trillion spending package and climate package. But after a small group of moderate House Democrats demanded a congressional budget office estimate for the social spending bill, progressives said they would vote only for the infrastructure measure on Friday. So the progressives looks like they were trying to hold this up, and they kind of said, well, we need to vote on it. Progressives House Democrats have maintained that both measures should advance together, and they previously blocked the infrastructure bill pending changes in the Build Back Better Act, to which Democrats have now added provisions including paid leave. The social spending package is likely to be changed in the Senate, where portions of it face oppositions from West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin. So some of the things in this bill, this infrastructure bill, in fact, this is the things that President Biden had, the Build Back Better plan. This is going to be the jobs plan plus the families plan. Those are the two things that he wants to spend on. So as Pelosi and other Democrat leaders work on getting the infrastructure bill and the larger package across the finish line, there is information on what this is. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act has an overall price tag of about $1 trillion, with around $550 billion in new public works spending above what already has expected in future federal investments. So what's in this bill? You have close to $110 billion going to roads, bridges, and major projects. Passenger and freight trail are getting $66 billion. Broadband gets $65 billion. Power and grid gets $65 billion. Water infrastructure, $55 billion. Resiliency, $47 billion. Public transit, $39 billion. It looks like airports are getting $25 billion. Tons of money being sent out to road safety, ports, and waterways. So how does this bill get paid? Well, they're going to have to figure out ways to get this paid. If they raise taxes, it's going to cause a lot of problems. So some of the things they're doing is they're repurposing some of the pandemic relief funds. There's about $200 billion that they're going to use for that. There's a February 2020 C-band auction, about $67 billion they're going to use. Economic growth looks like $56 billion. States returning unused federal unemployment supplement. That's something that is surprised me as far as the number, because $380 billion went out to all the states, and it looks like they're going to send back $53 billion of that. So where is the other 200, or what is it? It was like 380 billion. So 50 billion, so 310 billion or whatever, 330 billion, close to that. Let's say 320 billion was sent out to the states, and they used that money for stimulus. Did they get checks to people? Didn't seem like enough states spent that much money. It says delay in Medicare Part D rebate rule, applying information reporting requirements to cryptocurrencies. That one is I'm not sure how they're going to raise money on that. It says $28 billion. Expanding fees on GSEs, sales and furniture, spectrum auctions. So it looks like they're trying to find other programs to pull some money out of. To me, it's such a huge bill that it's going to wipe tons of people out with this. I mean, the government's just gotten to the point where they're just spending too much money. They're not fiscal responsible anymore. They just think they have a blank check that they can just continue to write checks. The Treasury now just doesn't really care. Looks like the Federal Reserve doesn't care either. They're not raising interest rates to try to protect the dollar. I think they want the dollar to collapse so then they can bring in their own digital currency. And that would be something they would put an app on your phone and then you can go spend it, which is great. I mean, people get their money, but inflation is going to just absolutely kill everybody's chance to go to the grocery store and buy things cheaper. It's not going to work anymore. Things are going to continue to get worse. I mean, there's going to be more inflation. There's going to be more problems around the world because of the fact that things are happening. You have this big supply shortage right now. This is all because of the fact that there's been lockdowns, there's been mandates, and truckers don't want to come in and pick up those ports, the containers in those ports. They need something like 80 or 100,000 new truck drivers just to handle all the ships that are sitting outside of the port of Los Angeles. There's about 150 ships just sitting out there with containers full of stuff. And they can't get the trucks in there to pull that stuff out. And that's the problem they're having right now. Well, because of they had lockdowns, mandates, and they're doing all these things, and it's really causing a big supply shortage. I'm trying to tell people, just if you're smart about this and you want to be on the right side of history, get yourself some hard assets, pick up Bitcoin, go to Gemini, go to Kraken, Voyager, go to Coinbase. All of these places will let you grab some Bitcoin. You might not like Bitcoin. Go and get some gold and silver. That's going to help protect your wealth. If you leave your money in a bank account, your money is being deflated. It's being devalued by about 10 or 11% every year. That means you're going to be buying less and less and less each year. So that $100 you have in your bank account today is going to buy about $50 worth of products, the same products down the road. It's just not going to buy as much. And if you can move it out into a hard asset like Bitcoin or gold and silver or even land, you'll preserve yourself. Or buying food, just stocking up on food that you can, like canned foods. You do that, you protect your wealth. And that's the most important thing right now. If you're not doing that, you're going to get crushed. People are going to get crushed during this thing. It's going to get ugly. When these Zillow properties flood the market in real estate is going to absolutely cater. It's going to crush. If the Federal Reserve comes in and does the right thing and raise interest rates, that's going to collapse. The stock market is absolutely going to crash on that. Federal Reserve is probably not going to do that. They're going to continue just to print money, spend it. They're going to allow the government just to get out of hand as far as printing and money and all that. Government brings in maybe $2 or $3 trillion in taxes, but they spend $6 trillion each year. So where's the gap? Where's that $3 trillion come from? It comes from borrowing the money. It comes from printing the money, and it's devaluing everything. It's just when you see prices rise, like oil and things like that, it's because the value of those dollars that you have in your pocket is declining. It doesn't buy as much anymore. That's why gold and silver has always been a great store of value. That's why Bitcoin now is the best store of value. But people still resist, they push back on it. They don't want to get involved in something like that. And that's fine. I think those people are going to miss out on on a great opportunity right now. Bitcoin is going to be the world reserve currency, I believe, going down the road. It's the most hard asset money. It's the most scarce money. It's the easiest money for people to interact with. There's not going to, people always have phones. There'll always be electricity. There's always going to be the internet. It's never going to just completely collapse. So you're going to be in a great position to do it. If you get in now, you're going to buy Bitcoin at a lower price. Probably in a year, it's going to be 3 times the price right now. We're looking at, right now it's around $60. It could be $100. It could be $200 over the course of the next 6 months to a year. So if you position yourself now, you're going to be in a great spot, and you can get yourself protected against all this spending that's happening now. I mean, this whole $1.7 trillion stimulus package. I mean, they're just saying it like it's nothing. I mean, I remember back in 2008 when they said we need to spend $800 billion to stimulate the economy, and I thought, oh my God, that's a huge number. And now $800 billion is like nothing. It's like, $800 billion. But the federal government can just do that. They have the printing press. They're the ones that can print the money. But when businesses start to lose faith, and when people start to lose faith in the dollar, that's when you're going to see a mass exodus out of the dollars as quickly as possible into exchanges like Gemini or Coinbase. And as quickly as you can get them in there, you try to want to get those coins off the exchanges and into a hard wallet. Look up Ledger or Treasure, look up some of those. That's going to help protect your wealth. But you definitely want to be on the right side of this, because it's going to come down the road. It's going to be ugly. People are going to get hit. It's not going to be good for a lot of people. This is not the economy that President Biden says, we need to spend more money and the economy is going to come back and it's going to be great. It's not. It's going to get worse and worse and worse because the fact that they love debt and they love to just print that money and devalue everything. So try to pick up some hard assets if you can. I'm going to keep you updated on all stock market and all infrastructure bill stimulus package information. Keep you updated all the time on